Here we go. We're going to find a photograph in a Google search and put it onto a grid for class. Well, we used the grid that I gave you and you made a copy of. So for this drawing, the black and white ink drawing, I would look up black and white photography. And if you have something that you would like to do, so an animal, a car, a house, some person, that's up to you. You could detail it that way. Another thing on Google, which is nice, if you go to Tools, over here it says size. If you click down on that, I have it at any size. I'm going to change that to large. That means the photos that we choose are going to be of really good quality. And I was going to do that bird that we saw, but now I have to find a different one. So let's do this lion. Okay, I'm going to double tap with 2 fingers on my trackpad. If you have a mouse, it's a right click. Copy image. I'm going to go up to my grids, the Google Classroom grids, and what I did is I think you should copy this slide, copy and paste it, so you have 2 copies of the 9 by 12 grid. So I'm going to copy and paste, so now I have slide 1 and slide 2 are both 9 by 12 grids. So if for some reason I mess up the grid, I have the original again. So here now I have to go back to the lion and copy that one more time because I already copied something else over here, so I have to paste that. Okay, now this line in this way is too big, right? If you drag that over there, it's too big for the grid, left and right, but it's not big enough that way. So there's a couple ways you can handle things here. I'm going to click on the grid, take that and rotate it, and move the grid over. Now I click on the photograph. I'm going to get it lined up on the top left corner, doesn't matter which corner. And I'm going to go to the bottom right corner and keep shrinking it until it fits perfectly down on the top and bottom. I'm going to move it down a little bit, but it's too big over here. So here's a solution. I'm going to move it to the left a little bit so it's kind of centered. I'll let this one be centered. I'm going to double click on it. And right here, that black bar, I can grab it with my mouse or my trackpad and crop. So I'm going to crop that off a little bit right to there. And now I can just move it right up so it fits really nicely inside that grid. Now let's say I want it to be a little bit lighter and brighter. I can double click on it. I can go to Format Options. I can go to Adjust, and I'm going to make this a little bit brighter. So if I do that, no way, right? Sometimes being a little bit brighter helps us bring out a few of the highlights without wrecking some of the middle tones. So let's say I like it just like that. Sometimes contrast helps. You don't want to mess with transparency. So that fits just nicely. Now here's how to move the grid in front of the photograph. So I'm going to double click or right click. If you have a mouse, go to Order, or double tap, I should say. Then you can say here, send to back. So it's going to send the photograph behind the grid. Check that out. Now if I want to see things better, I'm going to copy and paste. Copy this, paste it here. So I have a copy of it. So I'm not going to mess around with the original. And I'm going to click on the grid because that's on top. Double tap or 2-finger tap. I'm going to move it back behind there again. I'm not moving anything left and right, but I'm going to make the photograph even brighter for now, just so I can see the grid a little bit better. I'm going back to Order, and I'm going to bring the photograph to the back so I can kind of see the grid a little bit better in some of the darker areas, where this one, I kind of lose the grid if this was going to be the photograph to work from. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is do the same kind of cropping. I'm going to copy and paste this again just as a sample. You don't have to do this. So I'm going to move the grid, I'm going to rotate the grid this way. If you want to do your drawing in a portrait view, I can take, whoopsie, let's undo that last move. I'm going to take the photograph and put it in front of the grid so I can kind of play with it over here. And I'm going to enlarge it and then crop. Oops, I moved it. I have to grab that little corner and enlarge it so the top and bottom fill the space of the grid. See that? I'm going to move the grid over because I want to get back in the center of the page here. Now I can do a similar thing. I can really let this face fill in the space. So I'm going to double tap. I'm going to crop again, and I can see from the extended line right up there, right up there, and the extended line right down here, that crop is right at the edge of the grid. Double tap, grab that black bar, and crop off this side. And tap on the outside. So now it fills in the space differently. So that would be fine. This is good. I'm going to double tap, move it, go to order, go send to back, and that could be used as well. So either one of these is okay. Totally up to you. And you don't have to do an animal. I just selected one just for this sample. Anyway, then you can share that to me and I can print it in class. If you have a good printer, feel free to print it at home. And we'll talk about the gridding process more in class as well. And I will also try to make a video that helps you with the gridding process too. All right, there you go.